All right, welcome back. You are listening to Social Views. I'm Christina Wagner. Something real quick that I want to mention. If you tuned in to the show last weekend, myself and Bella Vasta did this show that was all about social media best practices. And one of the things that we didn't mention is the importance of connecting your social media to your email marketing and some great tools for that. So if you haven't yet already liked the page on Facebook, The Social Views with Christina Wagner, go to that page and like it. There's a way that you can opt in to receive emails, and you'll get some information about a few great tools that help you to just do that. Because remember, the people that are liking your page on Facebook, they're only seeing about 7% of your content. So there's some great ways to really connect those dots. But we're not going to talk about social media today. We are going to talk about some really fun stuff. I had my guest, Melinda Vail, on a few months back, and we blew up the phone lines. The phone lines were open. People were calling in. Melinda Vail is an intuitive therapist, a hypnotherapist, a medium. She's an author. She's just an amazing person, and she's here in studio with us. She was on the phone line last time, and we blew up the phone lines. I mean, we had so many calls that people were not able to call in. So I want to let the listeners know the phone lines will be open. They are open. If you want to call in, if you want to ask Melinda a question, you can do that. The number is 480-423-1260. Again, that number is 480-423-1260. So, Melinda, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be here.
Thank you. It's good to have you here. And you brought with you Madison.
My great niece.
Madison, thank you for coming and joining us. You're welcome. And I brought my daughter, Sky Wagner. So we've got the youngins in here with us. It's great.
Yes, we do. We were talking about how fast time goes, and let me tell you, it goes by faster than a snap of the fingers after you get to be my age, Christina.
Well, it's definitely going by a snap of the fingers for me too. You take this no-nonsense approach, and you share practical information to help people heal their life and manifest anything that they desire. Mm-hmm. And when I read that on your website, I said, anything?
Anything.
Really? Anything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't get much into Fruit Loops and wind chimes. I really talk about how real energy works in our lives. And if we understand that God is nothing more than a giant mirror that reflects back to us what we put out, and that when we put out good things come back at us, and when we put out negative things come back at us, then we've got a handle on life. I just loved listening to Tammy from Results Fitness. She has awesome energy, and I can feel that she's filled with joy, and joy is an energy that holds between this side of the veil and the other side of the veil. So when you were talking about last night and getting your act together after not feeling good, it was about moving through that negative energy and into a place where you could find happiness, joy within yourself. And when that gets reflected back to the universe, it always comes back at us.
And you know what's really interesting that you said that, because what happened this morning was some really great opportunities that came right at me, and it was a great confirmation that the way that I handled it and what I did was exactly what I needed to do. And I'm really lucky that I have people in my life like Angel Marie that kind of help me and guide me a little bit.
Well, I guess her mother named her right.
Yes. Oh, yes.
If she's named Angel, I guess she was named right?
She is an angel. How does it work? So is it just putting out that energy to get?
Well, we really need to understand where we come from in order to understand our energy, because we are all trained by our parents, and what languages we're taught during the course of our upbringing, of course, affects how we feel about ourselves in the world. And certainly there is information that gets planted into our subconscious mind that causes us to vibrate out an electrical current, if you will, that attracts certain situations and circumstances to us. The law of attraction on this planet is an absolute law, just like the law of gravity. We all understand the law of gravity because we all fall down, but we don't understand the law of attraction very well because we think if we just positive think about something, we can attract it, and that's part of it. But we also have to clean up whatever is in our energy field from the past, some of those languages that our parents inadvertently gave us. I don't think anybody tries to mess up their kid when they're born, but we certainly end up doing a pretty good job of it sometimes. And we're all a result of our own generational patterns, and it moves through the generations. So part of what we have to understand is what our background tells us, so that when we are doing positive thoughts and affirmations and visualizations and so on, we can clear out some of that energy from our past that may interfere in our process.
So, I feel like I stay really positive. I feel like I'm really in that space. But when something bad does happen that comes in, why is that? Is that because of the languages from the past that you were just touching on?
Well, it can be
because of that. Or is it that I'm really not positive?
No, there are certainly challenges that we all face in life. There's negative energy on this planet. This is a planet of duality, which means that we have positive and negative, just like a car battery needs a negative volt and a positive volt for the car to run. That's how we run here on the planet Earth, so to speak. So, we are all challenged. We're here. Our spirits choose to come here for certain life lessons. The idea is to make all events on this planet neutral events, except for the emotions that we assign to them. So, for example, as a medium, I have many, many people that have had great loss. I think losing a child is certainly the worst thing that can happen to someone. And I have people that have that happen, and some people actually handle it in a positive way, so to speak. I mean, it's not that they aren't mourning, but they really make it a spiritual experience, and some people handle it as a victim. So no matter what happens in your life, you can assign an emotion to either make it better or make it worse.
I see that we have a caller on hold, and I know that you do readings. Before we go to that caller, I wanted to ask you, what kind of information can you share, and what are the things that our callers should be asking when they're calling in?
Well, the more specific the callers are on their question, the easier it's going to be, because obviously when we have a lot of callers calling in, if somebody says, can you tell me what's going to happen in my future, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on one person telling them what's going to happen in their future. But if they have a question about work, about health, about a relationship, certainly, a specific question, and I can help them with that would be great.
All right, well, we've got Kathy Gallagher on line 1. Kathy, thanks for calling into Social Views with Christina Wagner.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm so happy to be part of this show.
Oh, we're so happy to have you.
I have a question for Melinda.
Hi, Kathy. How are you, dear?
Hi, honey. I recently had been told by a friend that a friend of theirs had been visited by my late husband.
Uh-huh.
I kind of intuitively feel that it was his spirit.
Uh-huh.
He did appear in person.
Uh-huh.
But is there any other way that I could get validation that it was him?
Well, that's Kathy, a wonderful question, first of all, and I want you to know that your husband is around you an awful lot. He does come to you in your dreams. Have you had a dream about him?
Oh, my gosh, yes.
He also comes to you on wings, Kathy.
Physically felt him.
Yep, hummingbirds, butterflies. He comes to you on wings, okay? And when I connect into him, he has a single red rose in his hand, so there is energy of your husband trying to reach you. Oftentimes, Kathy, a spirit will drop in on somebody inadvertently when they're open to give a message or just to say, I'm safe, I'm here for you, or whatever. So I believe that was your husband as well, Kathy, and I think that you are having experiences with him all the time.
That I do know.
Yeah.
I've been actually capturing so many orbs and purple orbs in photos. And is there any way to kind of figure out or
that's
know
wonderful.
Who that could be?
That's wonderful, 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 Kathy. Orbs certainly are a manifestation of spirit. One time I was a guest with James Van Prague at one of his events, and someone captured
a
picture. Kathy, did you capture my picture with all those orbs?
I did.
Ah, girl. Well, you saw
me.
those orbs. Well, there, your husband was hanging around with us that day, huh, kiddo? Cheapers, Kathy. That's wonderful. Those orbs are your husband and probably some of the loved ones that he hangs out with, so to speak. When we go to the other side, we do get met by our loved ones and people that are waiting for us, and our animals, by the way.
Yes.
And we do spend time with people on the other side and have a good time. Okay,
Oh,
so
that's
you know
so
what?
enlightening.
It's definitely your husband that's doing the orbs, then, kiddo.
Thank you, Melinda.
You're so welcome, Kathy.
God bless you.
Yep, thank you, Kathy. You too, darling. Just remember that he's always around you, okay?
Thank you.
And there's something about 1111 for you.
Oh, my,
1111.
yes.
Okay.
I see 1111. My husband passed on the 11th, and ever since then, and it's been 11, almost, it was 2003, and I constantly see 11s.
Yep.
Constantly.
Yep, you and he are really, I'm going to say soulmates. I don't like that word, Kath, but you're soulmates, okay?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome, Kathy. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
I just love this stuff. The last time that you were on the show, you were not in studio. Sky was there. My daughter was there in studio. And you gave her a message. You told her something that you had no way of knowing. And people were watching on the feed, and they saw me just walk away from the microphone because I just was, I get chills. It's amazing. You tell people information about their past, their present, their future. What is the purpose for sharing information of the past, and how do you get information from the future?
That's an excellent question. There's no such thing as time on this planet. We really believe that time is linear because that's the only way that we can measure it. But time is actually circular, kind of like a whirlpool of energy. That's why as a hypnotherapist, when I'm helping people through childhood trauma issues and I hypnotize them and take them back to their childhood trauma, they can feel all the emotion and the fury of that trauma all at once. I'm not sure exactly why my brain, Christina, is able to access information in the future. I do know that it would be a condition of my brain. It would not be that I have some kind of a special gift. You have to understand that there are people who are able to read that aren't nice people. I'm a nice person and I'm able to read, but there are people that aren't always nice that can read, so it's not about getting a gift from God, so to speak. It's something that we all have the ability to do. So we are all one. Our minds are outside of our body. They're above our brains, above our head, and that's where we actually live, is in our mind, not in our body. And I can, through the power of my mind, access a part of my brain to go into somebody else's mind where there's no such thing as time and pick up on their future. That
kind of hurts my mind.
Complicated, yes?
It reminds me of when I ask Tammy the why we need to work out the way we do and the why that I need to, and she goes into the scientific modalities of it, and I just come back to, you know what? I'm just going to trust you, and I'm just going to do what you tell me to do. So I know from experience of having had a reading from you and you telling me things that, and we haven't talked about this, but you told me certain things that were going to happen at a certain time frame, and I walked out of that meeting and said, well, there's no way that that's going to happen in March, because I know it's happening in December, and it in fact ended up happening in March, which...
Right.
Yeah.
Not even God can predict the future because he gave us free will, so the future obviously is the hardest thing to work with, and sometimes I am off on time. But I want to talk about the spiritual reasons to exercise, since you brought up the physical, and there's mental reasons to exercise as well. But there are 7 energy wheels in our body called a chakra system. And one of the ways to keep the chakra system open is through exercise. And Madison's mother on the Facebook the other day said, too bad people who suck the energy out of you can't take some fat too. That would be awesome. But when our chakras are open, it helps us to balance the energy between our higher body and our lower body, and exercise is one of the things to do that.
So with your chakra, I know that on your website, melindavail.com, I know that you have a CD opening your chakras. Mm-hmm. Why do I need to have my chakras open? How do I know if they need to be open?
Good question. Probably everybody needs to have their chakras open because, again, our conditioning as human beings is to have a lot of crap thrown at us, emotionally, physically. We're assaulted every day in certain ways by pollution, by, people, by all kinds of things. And that kind of closes those energy wheels down. And so the chakras need to remain open through a meditation or a channel of energy, because the chakras are connected together by something called a kundalini energy. So back to exercise, there's kundalini yoga that can help the chakras together. But when the chakras are closed down, that means part of your information highway in your body is closed down. And so, for example, if your throat chakra is closed down, you're going to have a more difficult time communicating. If your heart chakra is closed down, you're going to have a harder time accepting joy and love and giving joy and love. If your solar plexus is shut down, that's where your power point or your willpower resides, etc. If your root chakra is shut down, the root chakra is the seat of stability and security in this world and in your body. So when those chakras are shut down, your information pathways don't flow through your body. And since we really shouldn't think as much as we should feel, because the heart center is actually where the truth of information comes. We feel things in our guts and our heart, but then our minds talk us out of it, our brains talk us out of it, not necessarily our minds, but our brains talk us out of it. We need to have those chakras open so all that information can be balanced and we can understand how we're perceiving, other people, information, and so on.
If you're tuning in just now, you've tuned in to a great show. This is Social Views with Christina Wagner. That's me and my guest, Melinda Vail. If you'd like to call in and ask Melinda some questions, the call-in number is 480-423-1260. That's 480-423-1260. One of the things that I'm really interested in learning more about, one of your shows is, or one of your segments is with spirituality. And what does it mean, and how do you wake it up, and how do you wake up your spirituality?
Well, you'll hear everybody in my business say that we're really spiritual beings having a human experience, and you'll hear that all the time, and that really is the truth. But spirituality is really a state of being, an understanding of how to surrender to being in the moment, or understanding what's being processed through our body and through our soul, our spirit, and so on. Spirituality is different than religion. Religion is a practice, and it doesn't matter what religion you practice. You can practice religion and not be spiritual at all. You cannot practice religion at all and be spiritual. But spiritual is about understanding yourself, your soul, your purpose, your karmic energy on the planet, your dharmic energy on the planet, which are two Sanskrit words. Karma meaning your universal checks and balances, dharma meaning your life purposefulness. Spirituality is kind of a culmination of understanding who you are, body, mind, and spirit, and productively using that information to redefine yourself in a way in which you're following the golden rules, so to speak.
When you are, when Kathy called in and she was asking questions, and you identified that, yes, that was her husband, is he in heaven? Is there a heaven? Where is heaven? What is heaven, I guess?
Well, heaven is a dimensional frequency, I guess, would be the best way to describe it, because, when I am doing medium work and spirits talk to their loved ones, they will often give information to the loved ones about what they're doing in the now, and give names of somebody that the person just met and so on. And the person will say to me, well, gee, my father never knew that person, or my husband never knew that person, and whatever. And I'll say, it doesn't matter. The information is coming to you so that you know that your loved one is still part of your life, still part of seeing you. So heaven must be a dimensional frequency that's near us, around us, by us somehow. It's not someplace up in the sky, and hell isn't someplace down under the earth. Really, heaven is a dimensional frequency where we just kind of move into the dimensions.
Well, I'm definitely a very, I think I lead with emotions. I make decisions based on my emotions, much more so than logic. So I definitely feel. I feel all of those emotions. What about our loved ones that have passed on, that are in heaven? Do they experience those emotions? And I know, do you know? How do you know?
Yes, I believe they still have emotion with their spirit or their soul, because I often have someone come from the other side that will give me emotion, maybe make me feel like I want to cry when I'm talking to the person that I'm talking to. I've had women who have come back to their daughter or their son and said they didn't like it that their husband was with another woman. So there must be some emotion still left on the other side. I believe there is. I think probably the emotion is different. It's viewed differently, but it certainly presents emotionally to me in a way in which the person that I'm talking to knows that it's their loved one.
Okay.
Okay?
It looks like we have a caller on the line, Don Landris. Don, are you on the line? Nope, maybe he's not. Okay, I want to go back to when you were talking about chakras, and you were talking about the decisions that people make, whether it's their head, their heart, their gut. I mean, there are often times that I feel and I think I'm making a decision based on what my heart tells me. But how do you know? How do you decipher? How do you go, okay, this is my gut telling me that this is the best thing to do, or this is my head telling me the best thing to do? And maybe it's just me, because I know that I have a tendency to overthink things.
I think a lot of people overthink things. The universe, the energy of the universe, will either support your decision on something or it'll make it difficult. So in other words, if you want to do something and there's a lot of roadblocks put in front of you and it just doesn't come together, it's probably not a decision that you want to make, because the universe is indicating to you that it's coming hard. Okay, when something comes too hard, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't try things, and I'm just talking about that orchestration of energy that supports a decision. When you have that, you know it's a decision that's going to support you in the future. Okay. When you're up against something and you keep, kind of hitting your head against a brick wall, trying to make something happen, it's probably not a decision that should be made.
Okay. All right. Wow. All right. I hear you. Don Landris on line. Are you there, Don?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi, Don.
Good morning or afternoon. You just covered a subject that I was calling in about being running up against a stone wall, being blocked or something.
Yes.
I don't know. All my life, I've had a kind of a spiritual love with airplanes.
Yes, Don.
And I'm a pilot, a private pilot, and I designed and patented a pedal-powered, man-powered airplane for the English Channel and all that. And I'm developing my own airplane now at home, and my own design. I formed a company around it, and I paid a lot of money to get a website made, and I seem to be in a stalemate and a block. I mean, I know what you just said is it might not be the right decision for me if I keep running up against blocks, but I feel in my heart, in my soul, a deep passion. I feel it's the right thing to do. And I was wondering what can be done, hypnotism or whatever, to unblock me, to get me going, and get to make some progress, some real progress.
Okay, so first of all, for you, Don, right now, what I'm looking at energetically is a timing issue. It's more like you're pushing on timing than it is. I mean, you're not relaxing into it. You're not surrendering to allowing it to flow. You're trying to push it too hard, too fast, too much. Do you know what I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
And I need you to just kind of calm it down and relax, because right around, I'm going to look at the beginning of March right now. There's energy around you that presents in a different way that's going to kind of pull things together better for you and so on. And I think you're trying to push upstream, all right?
All right.
The other thing about this for you, Don, would be, do you mind giving me your, just the year of your birth, please?
February 1947. See, I've been relaxing and letting things flow for 67 years. I'm getting a late start in life.
Don, that's a relative statement, isn't it? Because what, I'm rounding the bend towards 60 myself, sweetheart, and I'm just awesome and all like that. So we can't do that with our age, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we got to take that negative idea out of the mix. That may be one of the blocks right there, that you're in a hurry because you're thinking I'm old and whatever, okay?
All right.
All right. What I'm feeling, though, interestingly, and I'm not trying to preach Fruit Loops and wind chimes, so sorry if it sounds like that to the audience, but I'm feeling that you have something from a past life. I'm going to say 1922. Would you look up something around airplanes in 1922? Would you look at some energy around that period of time? Because my guess is, sweetheart, that you had something in a past life that had to do with the late 20s and into the early 30s, and there was a World War I incarnation. And that's in your energy field. And certainly, if you want to come do a past life regression on that, we have a wonderful hypnotherapist in our office named Christina Cavalier that would be happy to do that for you. But you might be able to do that just yourself because you have a lot of intrinsic spirituality around you, darling, okay?
All right.
All right. Don, hon, have you had a problem with your hip, your leg, your knee?
My knees were broken when I was 16 years old on a motorcycle.
Okay, and that's the other place I want to go. I want you to go into that 16-year-old trauma and look at that. Those are the two things that I see here. Okay, Don?
Okay.
All right. Have a great day.
I'll call your office and talk to Miss Cavalier.
Okay. Cavalier. Kristen Cavalier. She'd be happy to help you.
Okay. Thank you, Melanie.
You're welcome, Don.
God bless you. Bye.
You too, hon.
And I want to share with everyone the website where you can get all of Melinda's contact information and her products. And you can also, there's a newsletter sign up. It's melindavail.com. That's Vail as in V-A-I-L. And her phone number, 866-504-8245. So can people call in to you? You know, if people aren't here local in Arizona, can they call in and do work with you over the phone?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I do all kinds of work from all over the country. In fact, as far away as Australia, I have clients. So although they have to get up in the middle of the night. I won't get up in the middle of the night, but they will. But, yeah, absolutely. We can do it over the phone, which is, why I could tap into Don and see that he had a problem with his knees.
When we talk about, let's talk a little bit about people that commit suicide.
Okay.
What happens to them?
It's such a tough subject, because there are all kinds of reasons that people commit suicide. There's always a karmic situation around suicide, meaning that the person that commits suicide will have to come back and face similar issues in another life. But everybody goes to heaven. I know I'm born and raised Catholic and still actually practice, but in Catholicism we believe that suicide means that you go straight to hell. But a lot of times I think since the earth is hell, suicide is the answer to get you out of it if you can't cope. So when you get to the other side, there will be a lot of lessons and guidance and counseling. We do get counseling on the other side. And then you'll have to come back and, do it all over again. And so it's still a kind of hell kind of thing because you've got to come back to earth and face it. But when you die, you still go to heaven. You still go to the light. You still have loved ones meet you, etc.
So when you said that everyone goes to heaven, is there no hell?
Well, I believe that hell is the planet Earth. I think it's the only place in the universe where someone can climb through an open window and steal a child, kill her, bury her, or chop her up, or whatever. I think evil only exists here on the planet. And ego is a manifestation of, evil is a manifestation of an ego gone awry, okay? So, yeah, I think there's only Earth and heaven.
I think it might surprise people to hear you talk about the religion component, because a lot of times when you hear of people that are mediums and you talk about spirituality, I think there seems to be a perceived disconnect between that and religion. So what is the difference between religion and spirituality? Is there a difference?
Well, again, religion is a practice and spirituality is a way of being, but I say that religion is like a peanut butter sandwich. Sometimes it gets stuck in your throat. It can be tasty, but it can get stuck in your throat. And I say spirituality is like a jelly sandwich. Sometimes it's too sweet, but can also drive people crazy. And if you put peanut butter and jelly together, you have a hell of a sandwich. So I think that if you practice your religion and honor your spirituality, you're doing great. You shouldn't discard what you came into this world religiously to do. You should honor the religion that you came in on and see what that means to you spiritually.
Listeners, if you're tuning in just now, you're listening to Social Views with Christina Wagner. My guest here, Melinda Vail, is answering, or we've actually got the phone lines open, which we don't usually do, but the phone lines are open. You can call in. You can ask her a question. 480-423-1260. That's 480-423-1260. In studio, I've got Sky, my daughter, and Madison, who is Melinda Vail's great niece.
Great niece.
Yes, which is great. It's wonderful to have these young children here with us. You know, one of the things that we're hearing a lot, we're now, going into the end of October, and it seems like we've been hearing about this a lot. The end of, the Mayan calendar, the end of that, 12/21/12.
Right.
In your opinion, the Mayan calendar, what does that mean to you?
Well, I certainly don't think that the world is going to end, but I do think the world is changing. And I do think it's changing with the generation of Madison and Sky and the generations below them, because we have, in my generation, which I'm old enough to be your mother, Christina, so you're stuck in the middle here, but in my generation, I think that things didn't go the way they should have. Some of it may have stemmed from some of Vietnam and so on. I think that with the world changing, that the younger generation has to pick up a torch of spirituality, and that what's really happening is that people are becoming more evolved spiritually. The problem is that the information age and spirituality have to keep up with each other. And so that's what's going to happen after the first of the year, is to see how that race goes. So that with social media, that we also have the ability to be still connected interpersonally and still have spirituality and a connection together. Albert Einstein said that at some point technology would ruin the world. And so we have to be aware that we are not only technologically savvy, but we're spiritually savvy, and I think that's what's happening in the world after December, is how that's all going to manifest for us.
Interesting. I have to say, personally, what I see in social media is that it's allowed me to connect on an even greater level to people. I mean, I have people that I'm connected with around the world that are constantly sharing with me what's going on, and it has helped me to change my views about a lot of different things, from, politics and, I mean, just a wide range. We have a guest on the line, Gigi. Thank you for calling in.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for calling in. Do you have a question for Melinda?
I do.
Hi, Gigi.
Hi. I've been married 27 years to an amazing man, and I'm wondering, what can I do to make things better between us? Because we're kind of going through we're kind of going through a journey change.
You're having some issues in the marriage. Is that the question, hon? I'm sorry I didn't catch that last piece.
We're going through a journey change, I think, and some issues, definitely.
Oh, okay. Let's take a look at that for just a minute, Gigi.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I want to say to you that the very question that you're asking tells me that you're an awesome person, because you came in with, what can I do to make it better? Not came in with, what can you tell me about him to make him better? And that's really what I get a lot, is people who come in and want me to help them change their spouse. So the only person you can change is yourself. There's a David in the energy field. Do you know why?
David?
Yeah, David. Do you know?
That's my husband.
Okay. All right. So it feels to me like David is trying to... David is a nice man. But David is having some life-changing adjustment stuff. And I think that really all you can do about it is to try to stay communicating with him, because I don't think the marriage is really in danger. I just think that it's just a patch that he may going through, where he's trying to be reflective on his life and what he wants to do and his work and who he is and all of that good kind of stuff. Does that make sense to you, Gigi?
It sure does.
Okay. So, let him be, and you just relax, and it will kind of pull back together, and everything will be okay with David. I want to go to either your foot or David's foot. I'm not sure which one of you I've got. Who's had a problem with an ankle-toe foot?
My husband.
Okay. All right. So I want to go to his foot and say to you that, whenever we have an issue with the feet, it's always about fear of moving forward. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So give him a little bit of a chance there to move forward on his own and just hold space for him. He'll be good. Okay?
I will.
Okay. Thank you for calling, Gigi.
Thank you both. Thank you, Christina, for this amazing show. I absolutely love it.
Oh, thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you. Just want to let all the listeners and those that have called in know that this entire show is going to be up on the Social Views page. If you go there, facebook.com/thesocialview, you can actually opt in. You'll give me your email address, and I promise you I'm not going to spam you. That is one of my biggest pet peeves. I don't like people that spam. All you're going to do is you're going to get a link to this entire show. So you'll get this link to the show. You can share it. You can listen again and kind of hear back all of the great information that Melinda has shared with you. This question is for Madison. Madison, Melinda Vail, your great aunt, we've been sitting here listening to the feedback that she's been giving to people. What is it like to have this in your family? I mean, to be related to her. What is that experience like?
It's really awesome because she can give me advice on anything, and I feel like she knows everything about me without me having to tell her. And she's like the one person I can go to, and she'll give me any type of information I need to know. And it's interesting because she's really funny, she's a good personality, and she'll say stuff that really surprises me, and like today, surprised me because I didn't know how intuitive she really is, and it's really awesome.
So are there times that, she'll call you up and say, I know what you're doing. Don't do it. I know what you're thinking about.
No, but when I'm in trouble or she knows that I've done something, she'll say something to me when I see her, or she knows when I get in a fight with my mom or my dad, and she'll try to make the situation better, and I'm just really thankful for her.
Nice. That's great.
Well, that brings tears to my eyes. Aren't I the lucky aunt? Look at how beautiful and awesome this child is.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. This is great. This is fabulous. Sky, what do you think about all this?
It's really interesting, and it's really good to hear. It changed some of my views on heaven and hell.
Actually, say that on that other mic. So I guess we were having some challenges.
It's really interesting, and it changed a lot of my views on heaven and hell and what happens to people when they die, and yeah.
Well, great. I really appreciate both of you being here in studio. It's been great to have you guys here and to see your reaction to some of the feedback that Melinda has given to people. Melinda, it is always a joy and a pleasure to have you here in studio. I love all the work that you're doing.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you so much. I want to ask you one really quick question. We've only got a couple minutes before. Do you notice that we didn't go to one break during the show?
Yes, I did.
We just kind of went right through it.
That's all right with me.
It's all right with me too. Do you find that when you're walking through a crowd of people, do you just start getting information from people or about them, or are you able to turn that off?
No, that would be the Long Island medium. I walks through a crowd of people and gets information that way. No, I feel very strongly to stay out of somebody's energy space unless they've come and given me permission. I think when you do that, you're taking on a karma. So, yes, I have it turned off when I'm going through a crowd of people.
Okay. That's great. Well, I want to let everybody know that they can connect with you on your website, melindavail.com. I hope that you'll come back on again. It's always so much fun.
Absolutely. Would love to.
Thank you. And listeners, I want to let you know, tune in next week. We are going to have a local top recruiter and the creator and executive producer for a reality show, Top Recruiter, the competition Miami. I actually connected with him through Facebook. Somebody had commented on an image and said, Yes, they tagged me, which if you don't know what the tag means, it's the @ symbol. But basically they tagged me and said, Christina Wagner always says share images on Facebook, and there is a reason that you should do that. But we've connected. They're going to be here in studio and telephonically through Miami. And we're really going to talk about social media from the business standpoint. We're going to talk about business. We're going to talk about, people are trying to get different jobs. And I think I know they have a lot of great insight and information to help you do that. Also, Bent But Not Broken, they're doing a race for the cause November 14th. They're still looking for raffle prizes or silent auction items. You can go to bentbutnotbroken.org. I'm Christina Wagner.
NBC 1260 is KBSZ, Apache Junction. Also operates on translator K241BQ at 96.1 FM.
NBC News Radio, I'm Richard Louie. Hurricane Sandy is moving northward, and NBC's Ton Trong is in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, which could be ground zero for Sandy's landfall Sunday night or early Monday.
A lot of power outages. They're imagining this is going to be worse than Hurricane Irene last year. 6 million people last year without power. They're imagining, and they're anticipating this is going to be worse.
Even if Sandy comes ashore farther north in New Jersey, Delaware, and Virginia will still feel high winds and heavy rains. NBC's Yana Gold has news from Connecticut.
The governor just held a press conference here where he declared a state of emergency. He says this could be one of the worst storms Connecticut has seen in decades, and he wants all of the towns along the shoreline to be